Hello and welcome to Kit Penfold Astrology. My name is Kit, and today we are talking about the weekend astrology, January 30th to February 1st, including the Leo full moon, which not much is happening in Leo, but guess what's going on right across the road in Aquarius? Absolutely everything. Thank you so much for all of you who are subscribers. If you don't already, please hit the button. I have a goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers. It's gonna just so greatly help me be able to do this more and more full time and bring you more content. As well, thank you so much to those of you who are members. I know these videos are not coming out too much earlier at the moment, but I have a goal when I am home to be able to get these out to you much earlier, making that membership even kind of sweeter. As well, I've already had a few people using their once a year discount on a reading, and that has just honestly made me so unbelievably happy. So if you're interested in my membership here on YouTube, check it out. It comes with quite a few perks, including every year you get a discount off of a reading with me, personal reading with me. So onward with the forecast, because you know it's going to be big. For this weekend, we are following the moon, which you know I don't really do very often, unless it's doing something really rad, which it is. We're going to have the Leo full moon on Sunday. But before we get there, I just want to talk about the little things that have been happening. We've been feeling Mars and Pluto separate, which is just wonderful. And as well, we have been feeling Mercury and Venus separating, also in Aquarius. So again, just so much happening in Aquarius. Let me know in the comments below where you have that sign in your chart, because it means everything at the moment, especially as we come into Sunday with the full moon. On Friday, January 30th, you may be feeling still a bit of the sweetness left over from the Mercury-Venus conjunction at 13, 14, 15 degrees of Aquarius that has been happening over the last few days. What happened for you? Did any messages come through? Were you the messenger? Was there a way that it was even more Aquarian than usual? So you thinking outside of the box in a new way that you want to say the words that you want to say, or maybe someone used some magical technology from the future to come forward. Or perhaps you had some ideas around how you want to create for the collective, a bigger level than you usually would. I would love to know in the comments below. But right now, as you're watching this on Friday, that conjunction is only just separating, and it's going to take the whole weekend for this to completely dissipate or separate with the 3-degree orb that we use. So this energy around knowing your values, perhaps you're even just communicating them with yourself and becoming more firm on where you want to stand within relationships, who you want to communicate with, how you want to communicate with them. Also, we're watching Mercury a lot right now because it's already come through a lot up to this point, and now it is just on its way, just about 15 degrees away from entering Pisces, where it's in its detriment and its fall, and it's going to do a retrograde. It's going to do a lot. So keep an eye on what this conjunction, as small and as quick as it may be, because these are two very fast-moving planets, there's probably something here that's going to continue as a thread, as a storyline, as it moves into Pisces, does its retrograde. We start having the eclipses in Aquarius. We're going to get to all of that in a second, but it's not over just because we're not at 14 degrees. So keep an eye on the sweetness. And right now, with what is going on in the world, and I mean around the world, this might be something nice to focus on more than the other things if you need a break during the day, or if you're a journaler, or someone who just likes to take a quiet moment with their coffee or tea in the morning or in the evening. Use the Mercury-Venus energy to maybe ground yourself and come back into a place of remembering that there is always still good. There are always still good human beings in the world. And how do you want to contribute to that? How do you want to also be one of those people and do those kinds of things? Today, on Friday, and over the weekend, we're also watching Mars moving away from Pluto. So over the last few days this week, was there any super intense moment where you felt like it was like a drive, but also a an intensity, like truly going to the depths, going down to Hades and looking at things from the very, like the crisis point. Was there anything in your life that happened that you really had to look at, that you know has been coming along and you just haven't really wanted to look at it? But Pluto makes sure that you do. And Mars probably makes it hotter, more right there, more drive, more sparky. So as Mars moves forward out of this, I would imagine that the theme isn't again going to disappear too quickly, because this moves slower than everything else happening. But it's going to allow time to, if you happen to have been someone that was a little too overpowerful in the last few days, perhaps you might have to go revisit some conversations you've had. Perhaps there were actions that you took that were just a little too much, and even with yourself, and you need a moment to relax and reprieve and like allow this separation to truly like dissipate some of that like fiery energy. I have to say that throughout this week, the moment that Neptune went into Aries, I have felt so tired in like a whole other part of my life that feels untouched up to this point. I only have my North Node in Aries and it's in my 3rd house. So it's something that hasn't really been touched much, but now it's going to have Neptune for the next 14 years. It's going to have Saturn for 2 years. It definitely felt like a whole different part of my life suddenly started getting lit up in a very Neptunian way. And that, in a way, when Mars conjunct Pluto in my 1st house, I noticed that I myself was feeling foggier and foggier, but yet this like internal pressure coming up of like, who are you going to be? Who are you? Oh my God. It was a lot. So if at this time, the reason I bring this up, if at this time with like the sweet conjunction of Mercury, Venus, if with the intense conjunction of Mars, Pluto. Did I say conjunction for Mercury and Venus? If I didn't, that's what I mean. But these conjunctions may be a little fogified by the fact that Neptune has just moved into 0 degrees of Aries quite slowly, bringing a whole new energy to a place that we probably have never felt it before, unless you are extremely old. And at 0 degrees, it's only a little ways off of a sextile to Pluto, where that Mars was. So there's a relationship between Aquarius and Aries in this way that they sextile one another. So if it doesn't feel clear how it is that Mars-Pluto kind of has transformed your life, believe you me, it's going to slowly be coming up as we get into eclipse season in Aquarius, because we're about to have that. February 17th, we have our first eclipse in Aquarius. It'll probably get lit up even this Sunday. So all of the things happening here, if you feel like you've missed it, you haven't. Or, you know, if you're someone who got really afraid over this last week and did anything you could to disassociate, which would have been helped by Neptune, it's going to come up again probably quite soon. It's going to be something that we have to be working on wherever you have Aquarius in your chart. Before the moon gets to the full moon in Leo, this Friday right now, the moon is actually moving into conjunction and then separating from Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. This is a really sweet moment, though, again, quite quick, because the moon is at home in Cancer. That is its place of a nourishment and emotion and self-care, of that mothering essence to the core. Jupiter has been there since last summer, and whilst it's retrograde, it is asking us to be expanding in our wisdom and our philosophy within these familial themes. The way that we relate to others, the way we care for others, care for ourselves. Cancer is a beautifully emotion sign, emotion-led sign. And I mean this in like the ways that even our nervous system can speak to us, how our bodies are speaking to us, how other people's needs is a big word here. And so wherever you have Cancer in your natal chart, you could be feeling like there's a sweetness coming in, because we have the mother, the moon, the luminary coming through, conjuncting that wisdom that we have been feeling coming from within, and possibly like our philosophy being asked to be expanded, which is what Jupiter does when it is retrograde. The moon being with Jupiter here is going to bring some more sweetness, I think, some more nourishment, perhaps a call within us to understand our needs on yet another new level. Every time the moon comes through this conjunction once a month, we're getting this re-up of like, what's new? What's new? What have we learned since it came around last time? How can it nurture ourselves differently? How can we learn how to mother and parent ourselves differently? So if you feel this coming through Friday, Saturday, this is a lovely thing. This could also be something that, again, when you take time to journal or you take time to just have quiet moments with yourself, this could be something to sit with as well. How have I learned in the last month to care for myself differently? Let's move to Saturday, where at 4 p.m. Pacific time, the moon is entering Leo. And it's instantly, as soon as that's at 0 degrees of Leo, it's in a trine from Neptune. So exactly what it is that we've just freshly been feeling this week, wherever you have Aries in your chart, it could be making you feel quite tight and like you need to keep control of the Aries pieces in your life. Aries is the I am, it is the it's the initiator, and to feel a Neptune in there could feel like you're losing control over the house themes. I've certainly been feeling that. And Neptune is asking you to take what you've learned over the last 14 years with being in Pisces and bring it into Aries. And for most of us, I think that is, hey, I was teaching you about self-trust and like letting go and going with whatever is coming up instead of like this death grip on control and you needing to be the center of how this works out and you needing to know how this works out. Neptune is asking you to release that. So when the moon enters Leo, this is a fixed fire sign. So fire, just like Aries, fire that wants to assert, but also quite fixity of like, I know what I want to make sure it's happening. Those kinds of feelings of control, even though Leo is beautifully creative, courageous, and brave and ruled by the sun, when the moon comes into Leo and makes this trine, I think there's going to be quite a question around needing to let go, needing to allow yourself to feel, with the moon being there, emotions, allowing emotions to create with Leo, allowing emotions to create the drive that Leo is asking for, or taking action that Leo is asking for, being courageous, being brave. This could feel, again, quite out of control, and it, I think, is going to be asking us as it comes through. It's going to trine Neptune, which is a wonderful aspect, by the way. A trine from Neptune, we could feel like, oh, this is out of our comfort zone, but a trine is supporting us. It's of Jupiter. And then as it moves forward to 3 degrees, it's going to be opposing Pluto in Aquarius, and then it's going to be opposing Mars. It's going to be hitting all of the things going on in Aquarius. So all day Saturday, we are feeling probably a bit more intensity, feeling the need and the call to let go and do things in a more like, I surrender kind of way, surrendering to what your heart is saying, surrendering to what your emotions and your nervous system are saying. This is a great time to take time with yourself and make sure that you're hearing what's coming through, because I think it's almost like the moon coming through these first pieces, the trine from Neptune, the opposition with Pluto and Mars, I think is probably kind of priming us for the full moon. But the moment the moon enters Leo, it is entering this energy that is really, it's coming from every direction, this full moon. We have every single planet kind of to do and having something to do with this, not to mention the eclipse season coming up. So Saturday, as this starts happening, as the moon moves into Leo, if you notice you're starting to feel like sensitive and feel everything, you're okay. Take some breaths with yourself, and maybe multiple times throughout the day. You're gonna get the most from this full moon and everything that it is sparking moving forward if you continue to actively take time, if you actively create time for self-awareness. And this could even just be in the car as you drive to work. Don't have the radio on distracting you for those however long it is. You don't need to turn on the podcast, what have you. Take some quiet time. Find some really soothing music that doesn't have any lyrics or anything. I'm a musician, so it's very hard for me to relax when there's a lot going on or lyrics. I've found that I have to find music that is the most kind of stripped back and synth-like so that my brain actually has a chance to understand the messages coming through and feel whatever the environment around me, the atmosphere around me is asking me to learn, asking me to sit into. If you're someone who pulls tarot cards or oracle cards, anything like that, asking them, you know, what is it that I need to take in this weekend? What is it that I need to integrate as the moon moves into Leo and we start? This is a big start, a big cycle that we're beginning, or we're going to start seeing the themes of beginning as of this Sunday. So let's move into Sunday, shall we? At 4 a.m. Pacific time, the moon will oppose Mars. So this could be a momentary real feeling of friction, especially with the fact that you've just felt those feelings probably come up when Mars was conjunct Pluto just a few days ago this past week. Again, it's so close to that Neptune and that kind of fog in a whole different place. Mars also rules Aries, so this is very, Neptune is very attached to whatever's going on here. So I would say if this whole time you're feeling like, you know what, Catherine, I'm not really, I would say if this whole time you feel like, Kit, like I can feel things are shifting and moving and asking things from me, but I cannot put my finger on them, I would write it all down. Even if you're not a journaler, just write it down somewhere, even in your phone notes, your calendar even, so you can come back to things later on, because it will start to make sense once we get used to Neptune being in Aries, once Mars starts moving through a bit more, and probably once the eclipse season starts. So again, 4 a.m. Pacific time, the moon will oppose Mars, probably bringing up some of the intensity that we felt earlier this week. At 2 p.m. Pacific time, we have the full moon in Leo. The sun, which is obviously opposing the moon to create the full moon, the sun is in Aquarius. The sun actually is at home in Leo. So the sun already is not in its best state. And I feel kind of draws some of the power away from the full moon in the fact that the sun is not having a lot of fun in a Saturn-ruled sign. On top of that, the sun is flanked widely with Mars on one side and Venus on the other. So there is just this ongoing theme of what we've already been feeling as all of these planets have been in Aquarius the last few weeks. We are almost like we're having a full moon in Leo, don't get me wrong. But because there's so much already happening in Aquarius, the sun isn't at its best in Aquarius, but it's getting lit up obviously because, no pun intended, because it is part of a full moon. It is why we have a full moon. I feel like the themes of Aquarius are actually going to be equally as loud, if not a bit more so, than what's going on in Leo. But the question that the moon and the sun are asking, and this Aquarius-Leo axis, where we're having the Aquarius-Leo axis of our eclipses starting mid-February. We have our first Aquarius eclipse. So those eclipses in Aquarius and Leo, and Aquarius and Leo just being highlighted greatly. The North Node is going to be in Aquarius, the South Node is going to be in Leo, until March 2028 or early 2028. And then the nodes will move forward to Capricorn and Cancer. So what is happening here, a full moon in Leo, when just in a couple of weeks, when the moon comes around to Aquarius and we have our first Aquarius eclipse, this full moon today, Sunday, is a big deal. It's something, it is starting something, and probably we're going to be watching these themes that we feel come up, even in just the smallest way. They're going to be continuing. Again, the themes of the full moon is creation through emotion, is the Leo ability to kind of want to be the eye, want to be the center stage, the courage, the boldness, the fire, the sun, the brilliance, and like the lion. It is, with the moon being there, we're bringing in the needs that we have, the emotions we have. It could be creating from that space. It could be what is happening in those Leo themes is actually asking your moon something different, or asking you to grow differently within your themes of where your natal moon is, wherever you have Leo in your chart. I know this all sounds very convoluted, and it is. Even for an astrologer, it is. There's so many different archetypes and themes and metaphors and analogies and thought processes that could be brought up with the fact that we have the sun who is looking to Saturn. We have we have Pluto, Mars, Mercury, and Venus all looking to Saturn for answers because they're in Aquarius. We have then Neptune that's just moved, but now it's sextiling Aquarius. So there are, it is convoluted. So if you feel at this time like you can't quite keep up, and it's because you don't know astrology enough, or you haven't kept an eye on things enough. No, it really is just that this is major. This is culminating, which is what we use, the word that we use a lot of the time when we talk about a full moon, but this truly is like culminating energy. And what it is actually doing is dropping new seeds into the ground. And a small point around that saying in itself, the putting new seeds in the ground, which is basically what we say when we have a new moon, or when we have a new cycle beginning, like a Kazemi cycle starting, or a synodic cycle. All of these pieces, we can use that analogy or that metaphor of planting seeds. Adam Ellenboss, who is just an absolute phenom, teacher, astrologer, all of the things, I watch his videos every morning religiously, and he made such a beautiful point around that saying, which is like, oh, we're planting new seeds. A lot of the time when we say, and I've said it, when we plant new seeds, I then am thinking, okay, well, what am I intentionally planting new seeds around? And the fact is we usually can't see seeds when they're in the ground. And a lot of time they're being planted out there without us having to go buy a packet at the store and like put them in the ground. There are seeds being planted whether we know it or not. So this isn't a moment of knowing that, like Venus in her synodic cycle, Mercury starting a new synodic cycle, Mercury about to go retrograde. We have a new eclipse season starting. That is a whole new cycle. All of these new cycles, Mars conjunct Pluto is a start to a new cycle, because we really watch when Mars is going to square Pluto, when it's going to oppose, when it squares, you know. So at the time of culmination, at the time of the moon really highlighting where it is that you are using your emotion to take steps forward in a brave way, where you are allowing yourself to be seen in a whole new way, or maybe your needs being seen in a whole new way. Across the road in Aquarius, you are being asked to start looking at things for the collective. And not just with one archetype of one planet. You're being asked to look at it from 5 different things, 5 different themes. And it's all gonna then continue being really like amalgamated, all of this energy together. It's because we need these times as human beings. We need these times where everything is in a really tight conjunction, because it's within that like nebulous, like I don't even know where to start, that new things are seeded without us even knowing a lot of the time. Just a few things that I want to mention before I finish up here. for the weekend. Eclipse seasons, the eclipse itself happening on February 17th, Saturn, who's going to rule this eclipse, is moving into Aries just a few days before that, on the 13th or 14th, depending on where you live in the world. We usually begin feeling eclipses 2 weeks beforehand. It's not something that happens like on the day. And so this full moon technically is the beginning of those 2 weeks before we get to the first eclipse. So the whole season, this whole big area of time where we usually have 2, maybe 3 eclipses, which is the season, it starts weeks before and usually takes a few weeks to finish up. And when you get into a new eclipse season, a new eclipse cycle, so the whole 18 months that it takes for the North Node and the South Node to move in retrograde motion through a sign, the first ones are usually can be quite in your face in the fact that it's starting a whole new theme. And then when we come to the next eclipses in Aquarius, it's going to be more like, okay, what work have you done up to this point and what else needs to be put together? And by the time that we get to the final eclipses within that 18-month period, like we're just about to have the final eclipses in Virgo, these are the moments where we truly get to look and see if we have put rubber to the road on what it is that in this example, South Node in Virgo has been asking us to move away from. What have we been shifting in our lives when it comes to perfection? When it comes to how it is that we hold ourselves, or we're too of service to others and not so much to ourselves, where all of the kind of those traits of Virgo, the shadow traits, because there's such beautiful aspects of Virgo. And believe you me, when we come around to North Node being in Virgo, that's going to be such a beautiful time. Leaning into those beautiful aspects of Virgo. This right now, within the final, after a couple seasons of having the nodes in whatever axis they're in, the final ones are asking, like, what are the last pieces you need to put together before it leaves? It can sometimes really show you like how well you have been, if you've been really aware and doing the work that the eclipses are asking you to do. The third eclipse could be kind of a real proof of like, wow, this is stable now. Look at how I've changed these pieces. I mean, we can always do more, but we're only human. We got to do what it is that we can do in the time that we can do it. As we come into this brand new Aquarian eclipse period, and we have this full moon on Sunday, this is a time where within eclipse seasons, like all you can do is let go. You have to be able to go with the flow. And again, we're not going to do it perfectly, probably, because we're human. And these are fixed signs. They want to have control over things. They want to be able, not out of any kind of like malice, but control for the lack of probably feeling safe if they didn't let go of control. Like fixed signs want to have that kind of predictability in knowing like, this is what I want, this is when I'm going to get it, and this exact, like all of that kind of thing. So it's a real question here, even in Taurus and Scorpio, which are also fixed, and those are all, they're at the square points. It's all these fixed signs. If you have a lot of placements in Aquarius, in Leo, in Taurus, in Scorpio, this full moon, then the eclipse, and everything that's moving forward from that point, or from this point, this Sunday, is going to be a theme that has a lot of time, that has probably a huge shift within it. This is the beginning of a pattern that you are going to be asked to look at over and over again. And depending on how willing you are to step into the unknown, to let go of the reins, to be able to relax into a new way of, you know, I am safe, even if this all goes wrong, I am safe, because with everything we've had going on in Pisces, we have been getting asked over and over again to lean into self-trust and like build a foundation of safety within yourself that you may not have felt before Saturn was there or before Neptune was there. And now we're about to have Mercury have its retrograde. We're about to have Venus go through here. Venus just loves being in Pisces. So this is a time of self-compassion, the ability to kind of laugh at yourself if something goes wrong, or laugh at the things that probably will, in a beautifully eclipse way, like kind of surprise you. Shifts and changes that come out of nowhere, the more that you can, like, after the initial, oh, holy crap moment, the more you're able to step back and go, oh, okay, I'm safe. The more you can put some rituals in place that perhaps Neptune helped you put in place around with your spirituality, with your astrology, with the intuition you're building, with the introspection that I am always asking people to lean into or cultivate in their lives. This is a moment where everything you've learned up to this point really needs to be put into practice. It's not the North Node is leaving Pisces and Neptune is leaving Pisces and Saturn is leaving Pisces and we're not going to remember anything that happened here. No. There's a reason that things happen in the order that they do, and there's a reason why astrology is just so fucking good. Because it happens in the order that we need to have it happen. And if we are listening to it, if we're listening to ourselves and our bodies, we also move in that order. Again, it is not about looking 6 months down the line going, oh no, what's coming up? It's about looking at the astrology of today, of the right now, and taking the little steps that it's asking you to take in your awareness, in your self-growth, whatever themes and whatever houses you have being lit up at the moment with everything going on. I mean, what house isn't right now? But this is such a gorgeous time of kind of getting to know yourself in how much you've grown, how much you've learned to nestle into self-safety, or perhaps you're not quite there yet and this is going to help you put the bow on the top. But I know this is a weekend forecast and this is now super long, but it's because this is the beginning of something big. It is not going away once Sunday is over, and I will be here every step of the way. So if you need a natal reading to be able to figure out exactly how this is happening in your chart, if you need any more support from even just a mini reading, check out my readings in the description below. And I'm just gonna stop this right here, and I will see you for the week forecast in a few days.
Stay here in my house code every day.